Hey y'all, and welcome to season two, episode two. I believe this is episode two. Yes, um, and I'm gonna jump straight into it. Today, I want to go over inner dialogue. Now, I didn't realize the like the, I mean, the major impact that inner dialogue has on you. Like, I didn't realize it until I started actually working on it and being more consistent and more disciplined when it comes to inner dialogue. And for those of you who don't know what inner dialogue is, it's pretty much the voice in your head. It's your thoughts, your beliefs, the things you tell yourself, uh, and your your inner dialogue is more so connected to your personality than it is like smarts or intelligence, right? And a quick example of that is like you have all these facts and the facts are true, the facts are, they are what they are, but you still find a way to try to convince yourself of something different. Or you, depending on the situation, you can turn a situation more negative when it's not as negative as you think it is because of your inner dialogue. And so I just wanted to talk about that today. Because I think it really is easy to forget. It's easy to kind of gloss over, especially if you have certain things that you've gone through, or certain things that you're going through, and you tend to play them over and over in your mind, right? And before you know it, you end up creating this dialogue where you feel like, oh, I can't do this, I can't do that, and that's very powerful. It really can, be the difference in whether you manifest something beautiful and positive or something negative. Or sometimes the situation can have, that it can have its stress and it can be a negative situation, but when you have inner dialogue and you coaching yourself through it, it does help to cope and to get through those certain situations so they don't, so you don't linger in that particular energy, right? So as far as like having that negative inner voice, it really can drive you to have anxiety or depression because you're constantly reminding yourself of either past failures, or you're torturing yourself with criticism that isn't true, and it ends up creating this thing that you you don't even notice that you're creating. And sometimes we end up putting it off on other people. You can say, well, this person told me this when I was younger, and they said I was never going to be good enough for this and that. And it's like those things, they do play a part. I won't say that they don't matter, but what truly matters is what you believe, what you feel, what you think about yourself, right? So a lot of people though end up believing these things, and they end up lingering, and you end up creating this cloud that you sometimes can't get rid of, because you just don't notice it. Like, you can be having a good time and you can almost run it for yourself. It To me, I feel like that inner voice sometimes can be a bully. And I think I kind of touched on this before, but I just wanted to pretty much talk about this separate and on its own. You know, now I have noticed that certain things do shift. The energy does shift when that inner dialogue does shift as well. And that inner bully, it's like you can't get away from it though. If you bully yourself, you just can't get away from that, and it makes you feel so trapped. And that's where the depression and anxiety comes in at, right? And so now, you know, when you have positive dialogue, it of course, helps you create the opposite, right? So let's say, for example, your car breaks down, and instead of having inner dialogue that's negative, and you're saying, oh, I'm gonna be on the side of the road forever, I don't have no one who can help me, I don't know who I could call, I don't have the money for this, that, and the third. Like, instead of doing that, just thinking about, okay, what sources do I have? This happened for a reason. Like, you know what, I'm gonna be okay. Like, I've been through rough times before. I got this. Like, it is what it is. Hey, if I got to walk, exercise, it's look. Don't get me wrong. Stressful situations can feel like it's the end of the world sometimes, but there's no point in having that negative dialogue and beating yourself up. Really, it's not. You might as well be positive about it. You might as well. And it's amazing if you just try this and practice this and you take it seriously and you try your best to just be as disciplined as possible and feed yourself positive dialogue. It really changes things. Like, say with the same car, it breaks down, you tell yourself, okay, yep, I got this. If I have to get exercise, whatever, do da 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 da. All of a sudden, your phone rings, and it's someone that you haven't talked to in, I don't know, let's say 2-3 years, right? And this person like, hey, I'm in town, just wanting to get back up with you, da 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 da. And you say, well, my car just broke down, and then next thing you know, hey, here they come, and it changes things. Like, you just never know that positive inner dialogue is very, very, very important. Um, and it's like things do happen in life, but you end up being able to thrive regardless when you have that positive dialogue, right? You end up being able to overcome troubles and obstacles easier, and your mind doesn't really see obstacles, but they see opportunities. You know what I mean? It's like, okay, so something got to come from this. Like, something else is in the works here. And it's like, as long as you do that, you'll turn maybe what happened within an afternoon, and you can pretty much leave that in that afternoon. You don't have to turn it into something that you'll wallow over or be stressed about for 2-3 months, weeks, or whatever the case may be. Um, Let me see here. So positive, I don't know, it's like positive self-talk. It really does strengthen you, and it just helps you with problem solving skills. It helps you think clearer. And you really need it, especially now. Like, I see a lot of us are really, having these, like, you have these normal conversations with each other that seem normal, and it's like, I don't know, it's almost like a depressed, like, competition, like, who can be the most depressed. It's like, well, I had this going on, and I had that going on, and the kids, and my spouse, and this job. It's like, to someone who, I'm not saying you shouldn't, like, you should be able to get things off of your chest, but to someone that's listening who is no longer like on that or kind of with that, it's hard because it's draining. It can be a little draining depending on the person. It can be draining because it's like, okay, you talking about all the things that pissed you off or stressed you out in the past 3 months. Some stuff happened years ago that, and these people you don't even talk to anymore. You can't even remember their names, and you're still talking about this, and you still bringing it up, and you're beating a dead horse at this point. And it's like that you're talking about the things that they said about you, and it's like you hold on to those things, and before you know it, it's like you kind of start to believe it. So it just keeps on being this vicious cycle, and it's like then you the person you're talking to, if they're not, you know, on in this different space, and they're in the same space that you're in, it's like you're both just keeping each other bogged down. Because now here they come with their stuff. It's like, oh, you think that's bad? Let me tell you what my kids did. Let me tell you what my spouse did. Let me tell you what my job did. And it's like, it's depressing. It's the energy is just like, it's like, what good happened to you guys? Like, something great had to happen. Like, you have awards on the fridge. You have all these other things. Like, your kids are playing sports. Did he win the football game? Did they win the baseball game? Like, there's something got to be good. Like, didn't y'all just have an anniversary? Did he mess up the anniversary? Did she mess up the anniversary? And you're like, well, no, that was fine. Okay, well, let's talk about that. Let's try to, let's try to focus on some other things. Because it's like, if you, like, some people, they don't want you to tell them that you don't want to hear it either. Like, don't get me wrong, if it's in the moment, like something just happened to you today, something just happened to you, or something has happened, since the last time you spoke with someone, or since the last time someone spoke to me, I use myself as an example. Like, I get that, because stuff happens and you want to get off your chest, you want to figure it out, and you want to work through it, that's fine. But it's like, if you keep talking about things that don't even play a part in your life anymore, or if you just keep looking at negative things, it's like, it's hard to have a conversation with you. It's hard to continue a relationship with you or with anybody like that, And if you have to find others on that level as you, then how are you going to vibrate higher? How are you going to make changes? You know. So I mean, it's just I just wanted to get that off my chest. I guess I guess it's weird. It can be a little weird, but I'm only saying it from a place of love. It's like because a lot of us don't realize it. A lot of us are stressed out constantly. Like it's on a month to month basis. Like you're worried about bills, you're worried about this, you're worried about that, and that's natural. I understand that. You know, but you don't have to like sit in that though. You don't have to let it fester. Like there's more to life than that. There has to be. Like there has to be, and if it's not, you may need to work on it. You may need to change some things around and start looking at things from more of a positive, standpoint. So as far as 5 ways to improve your inner dialogue, so I would say for number 1, and most of my advice starts off with some type of silence or meditation, like quieting the mind, quieting. That word is a little weird to me. Okay, excuse me. But yes, sit in silence for a few seconds, minutes, or however long you can. Count if you have to, whatever works for you. Focus on your breathing. Sometimes we forget how much of an impact that just taking a deep breath has sometimes. And how much we take that for granted, because that's also a blessing. Like you have breath in your body, you have will, you have the power to do so. You have the power to do that. A lot of people don't have that. And I'm like how I said that just now, but you get what I'm saying. Sorry. It's just sit in silence for just take a second. Like in that moment, just take a breath. Like, okay, wait a minute. Let me reset real quick. Okay. The moment I start to tell myself who saw, like, if you're out and about and you're doing something and you feel like you can't make it or you can't get through it or you're dreading it, just don't. Just take a deep breath. Stop for a second. And realize, like, okay, what makes me happy? Let me think about something that does make me happy. Yeah, I don't want to go to this job, but when I get paid, let me think about all the things. So just start small. Start it wherever you need to. If you tell yourself, you know what, it's only okay. So I'm gonna work for 4 hours. Then I'm gonna go to lunch. So I'm happy about looking forward to lunch. So what am I gonna eat? And I think I did. I remember using this example before, but I love food. But you get it. Now, number 2, separate yourself from your inner thought, which I use the term bully. So I'm going to use the term bully in this one. Separate yourself from that bully. We're going to look at your negative inner voice. We're going to look at that as a third person. That's a bully, right? And so you're going to separate yourself from them, right? And so you're pretty much like, okay, because I read that it's just easier, to do it that way, because once you separate it, it's a little easier to look at it as it's not you, like, because you're not your thoughts. You're not your thoughts. So it's easier to look at it like, okay, like it's a whole nother person and someone that you love, of course, because it's still you. So it's like, okay. So once you do that, and you make sure you don't associate with the negative energy, then you can forgive yourself, forgive the bully, right? And then be like, okay, you know what? I forgive you. We're running on old dialogue. Like it's no need for us to have those feelings or thoughts. Today's a new day. This moment is a new moment. It's different. We're gonna stay in the present. And I forgive you. And since you had that negative thought, let's make up a positive thought or two to replace that. So, if I'm stressed out about going to work, you know what? I'm glad that I'm able to work. I'm glad that I haven't gotten fired. I'm glad that I'm glad I have a way to work. I'm glad that and I'm just using work as an example, of course. And I hope I'm not triggering anyone either. And it may sound silly to some people but sometimes that is a trigger. Like a lot of people's stress is job related, and so I kind of always come back to that example, for the most part. But moving forward, So yeah, so you're gonna replace whatever negative thought you had, and this does take practice. So also be very, very patient with yourself. But you're gonna replace that negative thought with a positive thought or two, right? Okay. So step three. Step three uh is a little bit more. You have to be a little bit more hands-on as far as like step three. You're gonna weigh your thoughts, right? The negative ones. You're gonna weigh them. Now by weighing them, I pretty much the easiest way I figured out to do it is writing it down. So, say for example, I have a fear because, like with anxiety, I've come to notice that a lot of my fears they don't exist whatsoever. So, let's say I'm getting ready to go into a crowded place because I don't tend to care for depending on the situation crowds. Um, I'm going into a crowded place and I have a negative thought like, okay, what if I don't know. It's just weird. Like my brain comes up with the weirdest scenarios sometimes. Like, uh, what if I pass gas and everyone here? And not to be TMI, it's just little things. Like I don't like anything that will give me like attention. Everybody eyes on me or any type of embarrassment. Like let's say I miss and knock something off a rack or a shelf and it's loud or it spills. Things like that. So I'm like, really? I'm like, I go back, forgive myself for that. I'm like, you're just creating fear that doesn't belong there. And so it's like, okay, how many times have you been to the store and you haven't done it? I haven't. I think I've never knocked anything over and it needed to be like cleaned up or anything like that. So it's like, and I've never had any of these situations. I've never been embarrassed in the store like that. So I was like, why would I fear that? Why would I fear everyone having like eyes on me when it's never been that situation? So I pretty much tell myself, well, you gonna go in here and find some good deals. Apparently everybody's going crazy over eggs. I don't what's going on with that. So like, man, you gonna find a seller some eggs or like, and before you just play with it, you play around with it, and you end up distracting yourself with positive thoughts. If you're silly like me, it doesn't take much to make me laugh either. Well, I don't laugh at everything, but it doesn't take much. I take that back. It doesn't take much for me to make myself laugh. So I usually go with some type of comedy or something. I make myself laugh and I'm over it. But it took a little bit of practice, but now I'm less anxious, and I really thought that this would never happen without taking some type of medication or something, or some type of miracle. But it's just discipline and working on it, just being consistent, and having that discipline. Whew, oh my goodness, I have undiagnosed ADHD, and man, I be all over the place. But amongst other things, I'm not going to name, but I play around with it, and I'm patient with myself. I don't jump all over myself if I don't get, if I let a few of those negative thoughts slip in, I let it go. Okay, and then we have number 4. Be your biggest supporter, right? You got to like. I don't know what else to tell you. I don't know what else to tell you. You should be your biggest supporter. You should not be one of your haters, if that makes sense. I'm gonna let that. Hold on, let me hit my vape real quick. I'm gonna let that settle in. You should not be. Excuse me. You should not be your biggest hater. Like you should not be a hater whatsoever. As far as well, yeah, not. I mean, not whatsoever. But you shouldn't be your biggest hater. Sometimes we're our worst enemy. Like the things that we think of or the way we talk to ourselves, sometimes like when you really think about it, can be pretty negative. It can be kind of bad. Like certain things you will say to yourself that you would never say to a friend or a family member or someone you care about. So you have to consider that you are also someone that you care about. Please keep that in mind because it's very easy to forget, especially if you're someone who, like, when you're good at being accountable and you take accountability for your actions and your moves that you make, you could really end up like having some inner dialogue that's not as healthy as it should be because you're so hard on yourself. Like I'm one of those people, I'm way more hard on myself than anyone else, and it can be unhealthy to a certain degree. So you just have to be your biggest cheerleader. You have to be your biggest supporter. Like, man, you got this. Like, hey, you got this. Like, we slipped up a couple times today, but that's okay. Who don't? But you're aware of it. You're trying. You're working on it. You're gonna get better. I promise you. I can guarantee if you keep working at it, there's no way that you're not gonna achieve your goals. Like, it's no way you won't get better. And it's nothing. You have nothing to lose. And then the fifth step is gratitude. Gratitude, 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 gratitude. Um, like I stated in the beginning with the negative dialogue, it can usually like be found when you think about the past, um, and the future. So it's like you think about your past, you beat yourself up about your past, about your failures, about your mistakes, and it makes you scared to move forward in the future. It's like you get to a certain point where you don't trust yourself, and it's okay to it's okay if you do feel that way, like, but you can come right up out of it. I promise you. You just mainly focus on the present moment and what you're grateful for. If you constantly remind yourself of what you're grateful for at that moment, like, I mean, no matter what is going on in your life, like, be grateful. Find something. There's something that you can find to be grateful. If even if it's just I'm grateful to be alive. That's it. I'm grateful for my dog. I don't care what it is. If you're grateful for your video games, like you're a gamer, you're grateful for that. If you're grateful for clean water. You're grateful for clean clothes, food. I mean, just be grateful. Overall, be grateful. Find those things, and really, it does help to write it down. It really does help to write it down. And I know sometimes people don't really. It's not their forte, because a lot of people don't like to necessarily read or write. You prefer to just listen to certain things, and then some people store information well, um, and I get that. But sometimes it really does help. Even if you just take a little slip of paper, you write down, and you take step. I'm gonna write down 3 things that I'm grateful for. And you can just read those. Hey, you can just read those 3 things every day. If it's one thing you're grateful for, you can just keep telling yourself that every day. Keep telling yourself that every few moments if you need to. You know, it's like, but just make sure that you express yourself. Express yourself to yourself. Like, the universe is listening, God is listening. So it's not going unheard or unnoticed at the end of the day. And so I really just, I mean, it was really important to me to actually go over inner dialogue and self-talk, and I really wanted to just do a separate episode on it because I realized the change that it made. And I'm just here to pretty much offer you guys the things that I find, and also having I know I said it before, but I'm having story time that's coming up soon. And yes, I'm into like what we would, I don't know, people say conspiracy theories. I feel like a lot of it's not, conspiracy, whatever. But I'm gonna start going over just various topics that get the mind going and get you thinking and stuff like that. Like, I like mysteries. I like things that are just interesting. When we talk about space, planets, when we talk about energy, frequencies, and all those things, like, it excites me. I love just finding different things on it and finding information, and I mean stories about pyramids, and it's intriguing to me. So I look forward to sharing a lot of that with you guys as well. And it's just to get the juices flowing. At the end of the day, do your research though. Don't just count on your favorite just please do your research, because a lot of the things that have changed my life is like I've stumbled across things on YouTube, and after a while your algorithm picks up and you start seeing things that are more so connected to the things that you watch all the time, and it's like you end up going down so many different rabbit holes, and I'm not gonna say it should be exciting, but it's nice to figure out that it's not just that one way. It's not just that one plain and simple, like this whole robotic lifestyle. What is what I tend to call it. Like, we were not built to be the same, y'all. Like, let me just go ahead and go into my little rant real quick. because that was the last step, the fifth step with gratitude. And I'm very grateful to have this platform. I'm grateful for you guys. I'm grateful to be able to help at least one person. But back to my rant. We were not meant to be all alike all the time. We weren't all meant to just go to school, do this, get certified in this, and then work here. Like, it sounds like an ant farm or something. Like, it doesn't. Supporting the queen bee. It does. Like, are we be? We're not. No, we're so unique. We're so unique. We're supposed to be doing different things and following our paths and purposes. Like, I mean, life is amazing, y'all. Like, it's beautiful. This is a beautiful time to be alive, and there's so many wonderful things that's like going on in the world. I mean, there's so many beautiful people out here. Like, the atmosphere is way more different than I want to say that we're sold a different picture sometimes. Well, a lot of the times, and we're misled a lot too. And but it's up to you whether you want to be misled at this point, because technology is booming. Like, it's it's at a place now where you can research and find the truth too. Like, of course, you have to research with discernment, because you have certain things that want to lead you astray. But for the most part, take it and run with it and do your research, and then come up with your own conclusions. Like, at the end of the day, if you hear something I say, you disagree with it, and you go do research, and you still disagree with me after you do your research, you still opened up a new door for yourself. You still went and explored. You still went and found something that helped you that day. It's not about agreeing all the time. It's like, because at the end of the day, we're all guessing here. To me, I feel like we're all trying our best. We're all guessing. No one knows for sure, and I find beauty in that too. Because it's like, you have this group that agree, you have this group over here that agree, and these two groups can agree to disagree, and we can all still, we all can still live amongst each other and be happy, non-violent. Like, and it's beautiful. I'm like, could you really imagine? Like, what would that be like? And we can get there. We really can. Like, we need each other at the end of the day. We can't be out here I Am Legend, okay? Anybody seen I Am Legend? Will Smith? We can't all listen. It's lonely out there. It's lonely out there when you just want to be stuck in your ways. Like, at the end of the day, skin doesn't matter. Like, culture doesn't matter. It's like, enjoy the differences. And it's nice that we're different. It's nice that people are different from each other. And it's like, why can't we just do that and vibe? It's a whole vibe. Like, I love it. I love it. And so I'm going to end it here, because it's going to turn into a whole nother episode if I keep going. So I'm going to end it here. I hope you enjoy it. I hope you take something from this. And hopefully it helps. I really truly hope that it helps someone, because it helped me, and I want to share that, and I want to bask in this light with you guys. So on that note, I hope you have a beautiful day. I hope you enjoy yourself, and stay tuned for more, and I appreciate you. All right.